Okay, good morning. It is the start of a new week. We are on a longer trip. We're headed from Maryland down to Mobile, Alabama. And then we're going to shoot across over into Florida, around the Orlando area, and then come home. I've got a car trade that I am transporting, taking one down from like Winchester, Virginia area down to Mobile and bringing one back. So just a car swap. And then I used to work at a dealership. One of the guy who ran the body shop for that dealership, he reached out and asked if I was still transporting cars a couple weeks ago. I said yeah, and he wants to. I guess they have a home down in Florida too, a winter home or whatever, and he wants to take he's got a Mazda Miata he wants to take down there, and he gave me like a month's window, and then this car trade came up, and I was like, well, that's perfect. I'll just take the Miata down. I'll just make a triangle and get the Miata dropped off. So that works out pretty good. Other than that, what else we got going on? That's about it, actually. Everything's gonna be direct customer work, unless I've got one stint of the trip which will be from like the Orlando area, once I drop off the Miata, up to Raleigh, North Carolina. Because I had another guy reach out from another customer of mine. He got my number from my customer, and he needs a car transported from Raleigh back to Frederick, Maryland, which worked out perfect. And he just said whenever I could get it this week would be fine. I guess they're moving up here. And they have one car. I guess they just want to transport instead of driving it. I'll grab that on the way back up through. So that stint from like Orlando to Raleigh is all I have empty, which is pretty good especially for enclosed work, and not having to deal with brokers. I posted on my Instagram. I had a stint from Florida to Raleigh. They had a car posted. It was like $600. And I called on them, they're like, well, it's in op, do you have a winch? I was like, I do, but, 600's a little weak for, an in-op car. This is what I'm thinking. And then he's like, okay, let me talk to the customer about when, I told him, like, my window of pickup. And he's like, well, can you do it for 400? I'm like, you had it posted for 6. He's like, well, the customer didn't agree to that. I was like, all right, have a nice day. I'm not a charity. I don't care if that's your fault. If you didn't have a rate like agreed to by the customer, why did you post it for that? It's funny. So the less I got to deal with brokers, man. That situation on Saturday with that car, I'm gonna do some more research and see what kind of where the ball was dropped. I wouldn't say ball was dropped. It wasn't dropped on my end. It was kind of a huge miss, just very misleading on who was actually transporting the vehicle, and then ended up, really screwing my customer over, which really puts a bad taste in my mouth. But again, Central Dispatch lets this stuff happen, because it's like, their rating system's terrible. You report something to them, there's nothing done about it. It's as long as someone's paying their bill, which is $120 for the carrier side. I think I pay like $125 a month, and then on the broker side it's like $150 a month. So me alone is $275 a month to them. And when I have a question or concern, it's like they're off in the wind. Let's get up here and get this Miata. I don't think he's gonna be there. He said he'll have it outside. I don't know if maybe his wife is gonna move it outside, because I'm sure he's probably at some point going into work today. he said it would be outside and cash would be in the visor, so that's cool. And then the other guy, I think it's like I'm swapping a Trans Am, an older Trans Am for an older Trans Am, maybe different years. And I already texted him, and he's at home, like he said, whenever. So I'm gonna kind of shoot to go to Mobile. You go down 81, so it's perfect. I got both of my pickups are right off of Interstate 81. Well, it's been a morning. We were able to get picked up. The picking up wasn't the hard part. Dealing with everything else. Show you what we got at this rest area. This is a rest area where I got that ticket for sleeping on the shoulder, because I was sleeping towards the exit. And Virginia State Police decided to give me, I think it was like a $170 ticket for quote unquote sleeping on the shoulder. I'm actually doing a load check right now, and I'll show you what we got. Give me 1 second. Let me open these doors up, and then I'll switch you guys around. All right, so first up is this 87 Trans Am. It's honestly pretty clean as far as like rust. It's rough. This guy is trading this car for a Firebird, I think. But that's this. So up front, we've got a newer Mazda Miata that is headed down to Florida. This is headed to Alabama. I'm unloading this and reloading the car with the other guy. And a little dirty, a little dusty. But not a bad car. And then I had to winch this, and it didn't run enough to stay running to get in. And how I had parked, I ran out of cable, so I had to use a strap to hook to my cable to give me a little extra length, and pull this thing the rest of the way in. So that is headed down to Alabama and then down to Florida. So not a bad trip. I've got the swap to do, and then after I leave Florida, I've got a car in Raleigh, North Carolina that I can either deadhead, well, not deadhead, I'll still have one in the trailer, but I can either ride with just one the rest of the way, or I can try to find something from Florida up to Raleigh and then get the one in Raleigh. So we'll see how that goes. Not 100% sure. I've been kind of checking the board, but I'm doing a little break here, probably eat some lunch and whatnot, and get back on the road. Well, good morning. Not sure what's going on here. If there was a
watch out, accident reported ahead.
I just had a ton of cops fly by me. I've got a car in the median. Really see what's going on. I had a ton of cops fly by me though. Anyways, so started this morning off with maybe some good news, maybe being able to the fiasco that I was complaining about yesterday, about getting a car picked up out of New York and them not listening to me. Well, they're there now to pick up the car out of Copart. I got them an appointment at 8 o'clock, so hopefully all goes well. I don't know if it's just the dispatcher is the way he is, and the driver, who probably doesn't speak English, they're just being difficult, or thorough. I don't know, one of the two. I don't know what the deal is, but what we got going on here. Hold on, I'm gonna put the camera down because it looks like they got a body on the ground here. Oh, you guys notice anything about this truck? Other than the fact that he's probably rolling 80 miles an hour. I tried to blink my lights and point back, and he's just got the hammer down. Apparently doesn't care they don't have any tail lights. passed a couple exits, so I don't know if he's trying to get somewhere. I mean, I would probably have my 4-ways blinking if that was me, if I was trying to get somewhere to fix it, but I try to tell him. Oh well. What can you do? It didn't look like a terrible accident, like someone's like deceased, but someone's injured there. There's a couple cars involved. Here comes a fire truck now to block traffic. A couple cars involved, and one ended up down in the median with all the airbags deployed. So I'm sure it's probably someone that got a little banged up from the airbags. But so hopefully that guy gets that car picked up, because I feel bad for the guy being just messed around by transporters and paying $35 a day on storage, like. And then sometimes Copart wants to be difficult, not this location thankfully, but sometimes they want to be difficult because what do they care? You know? They're just collecting the money, and the people, not the people in the office all the time, because they must have rules they have to follow, but you know, sometimes there needs to be a little bit of compassion, and people need to understand. Anyways, I'm a couple hours out from Mobile. I'm gonna get these cars swapped out. I booked a motorcycle to head up to Maryland from Florida, so that's an extra $500 on the way up. I got some room, so I was looking for something to fill it. So smaller Honda, like a 500cc, I think it's called a Rebel. If it's like, I don't know what kind of bike you would consider that. I'm not a motorcycle guy, so I just know it's smaller. There was some other stuff on there like Gold Wings and stuff, and I'm not dealing with a bike of that size. They're extremely heavy, extremely difficult to load to get up the ramp, and it's not like you can just push them. So I found this Honda Rebel, which I wasn't really looking, but I was like, you know what? I'm doing this trip. I'm not really in a hurry, because if I drive like I should every day, I'm gonna get home at pretty much the same time, because of being able to pick up and drop off at certain times. So once extra $500, that pays for fuel from Florida all the way home, so that takes care of that expense, and it's just a little bike and it goes by the house. But I'm gonna have to hop off here, and I've got an issue with a customer's check, and I tried to get somebody on the phone from PNC, which I don't know if I'm gonna need to switch banks, because I've been having a ton of issues with PNC. I don't know if I'm going to have to go to the bank and figure it out, because this check is being held due to the customer's bank. I don't know. They wouldn't tell me if it bounced, if it was insufficient funds, or what. But I got a notification on my phone that there was a delay, and I tried to call, and they're like, you'll have to stop by a branch. So I'm in Alabama, and I'm looking for a PNC, which started in Pennsylvania. So I found one down here in Montgomery, I think it is, and I'm like probably 20 minutes away from there. The bank opens in about a half an hour. I'm just gonna go in and see what the deal is, and go from there, because I have more work lined up for said customer, and I need to know if we're not going to be doing that work, because it's actually stuff that's going to be brokered, and I don't want to get in a situation where I owe a transporter money and their check's bouncing, so it's coming out of my pocket. So we'll see. Well, Daytona Beach. This is the Aeronautical University. I am picking up what I think is one of those bikes there. So I've got the Firebird stuffed in the front. Gonna put the bike behind that, and then I think we're gonna go with the S2000 we're picking up behind that. All right, we'll pick up number 2. Get the bike up in here. Now we are gonna have to unload the bike to get that out eventually, but we'll worry about that about 800 miles up the road. Got one more pickup to do. Try to get this strapped down. Well, just like that, we are now fully loaded. And this is why I have the best customers. 10:51 p.m. picking this car up. Really nice neighborhood. They just left the keys in it for me. Said get it whenever you want. Get it loaded up and call it a night.